Okay, so hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Language of Humanity, and today's episode is all about
The colour blue.
yes.
We're just doing it to submit, hopefully in time, to the 5 magazine, which is a quarterly publication, and they try and include work from students, or I guess people who are philosophically minded. I think initially it was meant to be more of a philosophy-based magazine, which is why it's called 5, but they just branched out to let anyone submit. But they do loads of cool themes. So obviously this time it's blue, but before it's been like sin, rage. There's been an urban edition, so about landscapes and stuff. But they're really amazing, and so it's so well executed. So it's worth checking out if anyone wants to check it out. On Instagram, their tag is at phi.mag, M-A-G. So yeah.
Cool. And as you can see, we are both wearing blue-themed clothing.
Yeah.
To match perfectly. So we have a few ideas we would like to share with you in terms of color blue.
It's just a quote from The Great Gatsby. If you read The Great Gatsby, you probably remember this. It's nice because it mentions some other colours,
So
which maybe helps offset the idea of blue. But above the grey land and spasms of bleak dust which drift endlessly over it. But above the grey land and spasms of bleak dust which drift endlessly over it, you perceive, after a moment, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg are... Their retinas are 1 yard high. They look out of no face. But instead... from a pair of enormous yellow spectacles, which pass over non-existent nodes. Evidently, some wag of an oculus set them there.
Do you want me to read this?
Anyway, it's blue and the eyes of Dr. T.J.
Do you want to
Ecclesburg.
start again?
No, I can't read it. I'm going to laugh, though, when you're reading it.
You can laugh, it won't distract me.
Okay.
So we'll give it a second go, and I'll read this time. I'll try to read, because I read this once, so I'll be probably stuttering, so take this into consideration. But above the grey land and the spasm of bleak dust which drift endlessly over it, you perceive after a moment the eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesburg are blue and gigantic. Their retinas are 1 yard high. They looked out of no face, but instead from a pair of enormous yellow spectacles which pass over a non-existent nose. Evidently some wag of an oculist set them there to fatten his practice in the borough of Queens, and then sank down himself into eternal blindness, or forgot them and moved away. Thank you. That was really bad. Oh yeah, I understand this, but...
And a wag of an oculist.
In a wag of an oculist.
I don't think we need to read it again. You can put the quote somewhere anyway. It only mentions blue once.
Okay, so that was my first and only read of this quote, and that's you need to be happy with it. The blue color symbolizes, you said it nicely last time, what blue color symbolizes.
I think it symbolizes lots of different things in different sectors, but like in religious art, kind of wisdom and the kind of spiritual side. I think also just peace and calm, serenity.
Yeah, mindfulness.
Yeah, and you get that a lot of different shades of blue though, because you've got like blue can sometimes represent kind of like the regal aspect as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting when the use of blue is also meant to represent a sense of fluidity or change, and like 100% that's come from like, because we're like the sea, and we're like that's blue, and also it's changing. It's kind of weird how it feeds back, you know.
I think it's really interesting the fluidity you mentioned in terms of the color blue in art. Because it's so fluid, it acts like this binder which binds many different ideas and mixes them together. It's like a medium of colors, like that allows people to match other ideas with each other and allow them to be even more exposed in a more direct manner. Like in, for example, we had this idea to present few of our favorite blue color displaying artworks, and this is what, for example, made me think of it, the Sassafratus Virgin in the Prayer. And what I meant by saying this in terms of this painting is that here the blue, although it's really strong, it highlights the importance of the color white, and the
Yeah.
purity of Virgin Mary. That's really
Yeah,
interesting about
it's
it.
very complementary as well.
Yeah.
And it's not
Complementary.
often a harsh color.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, like you said, in not so much that blue is neutral, but I get what you mean. It's versatile, so it brings a lot of things together, and it's able to carry a lot of themes,
Yes.
which I feel like not many colors do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess something like red would,
Yes.
but even then, I'm not sure. It's
Really
kind
strong.
of, it's like rage and
Yeah.
passion. That's kind of red,
Yeah.
but blue has so much, and yellow doesn't really have.
Yeah, when artists take on a blue theme, whether it's just the aesthetic value or some symbolic, it's not so much in your face, and it's strong at the same time.
Mhm.
It portrays like nostalgia, portrays the transcendent approach to what you're depicting, and people can interpret it differently. Not like red, where you have this, I don't know, scream or something where
Yeah.
it's just rage in your face. So, okay, do you have any other artworks that you particularly like that have blue in them?
The use of blue, I mean, it's very boring, but I don't know, it's always nice when people do clouds and like blue sky in painting, or it's really, really lovely when there's blue and gold, because they just offset each other so nicely.
Blue and yeah. I think we talked about the blue and gold in terms of the Egyptian art.
Yeah.
I was saying that I think they were one of the first who invented real nice blue pigment, and they used this pigment to depict the lapis lazuli, semi precious stone, which they sort of run out at some point. I mean, not run out, but it was semi precious, and so you can't make everything in lapis lazuli. So they came up with this beautiful pigment, so vivid and looks so like lapis lazuli, and the pieces that are in museums right now are just marvelous still. And I had this thing that in terms of lapis lazuli and gold, blue and gold, since I was, I don't know, 5 years old or 4 years old, since I remember basically, I always wanted this necklace, lapis lazuli gold / turquoise / red coral necklace, which I showed it to you previously, and it's
really cute.
Yeah, it's really
very
beautiful.
pretty.
In case it's stuck in my mind, so it's maybe some message from my previous life that I need to wear it. I was far on. I have a few other examples if you want to comment on them.
Sure.
This is one of my favorites usage of the blue color in architecture.
Yeah.
And it's the mosque in Russia, Saint Petersburg, I think. And the usage of the color and the patterns is just stunning, mesmerizing.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so there's another example of blue in art.
It was just like a New York Times article about lapis lazuli and the history of the most perfect color, and the quote is a noble color, beautiful, the most perfect of all colors. That's it.
Really simple.
And that was a quote just about ultramarine, which is made from the powder of lapis lazuli. The reason I brought it up was just because I do think there's a point about like how significant the color blue is. Like I read that blue is most frequently chosen as people's favorite color, and whether or not that's true, I feel like it's believable because so many people just love the color blue. If you have to ask them their favorite color, most people will just say blue, or if they didn't know, they kind of go like blue.
If you're a girl, you say pink.
I saw that in your eyes. You're like, I want to say this. I think blue has had like a lot of significance in different sectors and eras.
The quote itself is really funny, because if you would just read the quote without saying which color you're talking about, people would say, what's the quote about, which color is it? They would say probably blue. I mean, majority of people would say blue.
Regal would make you think blue or purple.
But even the idea, I just made a joke about like girls like pink and blue like boys and boys like blue. It's like where it came from.
Yeah, where did that come from? Where did
I don't know. I just made I just thought about it, and I never checked where it came from actually.
A lot of where things originate from are from very literal ideas. Like we were talking about sayings like out of the blue, very literal. Like I didn't know where it came from, but it makes sense. It's just like you've got a blue sky and say there was like a bolt of lightning, or if there was thunder, you would say that's surprising, so that's where out of the blue comes from. You didn't expect it because it's blue sky, and that is very literal. So
because in the
strange.
past male were wearing pink things all the time. When you look at old pictures, old paintings and stuff like that, you see men in pink, you see men in blue. This is not really a distinctive
Yeah.
difference between female and male. If I would have to guess, I would probably say it was probably made up, the bulk of this stereotype was made during some sort of industrial era, where they wanted to industrialize the colors themselves and make them more appealing or sort of commodity. Oh, just the color. When you're saying the importance of color, the funniest idea about the color blue for me is that in most cases in the world that surrounds us, blue is only an illusion. And if you look at the blue sky, that's an illusion.
Yeah.
That's only a refraction of light, and the oxygen that's, gives out, most of the oxygen gives out the blue wavelength of light.
Mhm.
And we see blue is really not blue, is just, there's no color there, we just see the blue wavelength. The same in, I don't know if you heard about this, but less than 3 or 1% of all animals are blue. There's only less than 1% of animals that are actually blue. For example, there's only one insect, one butterfly, which is truly blue, and the butterflies you see just refract the light. For example, also birds, they mostly refract the light in a way we see them blue. It's just an optical illusion.
I don't really. Okay.
There's no pigment blue on them. There's just tiny speck of species that produce actual blue. 99% of animals are not blue.
Probably does make the significance.
Yeah.
I think when you were talking about there's only a few instances where we see genuine blue and not like an illusion. I was thinking of the saying true blue. Apparently it was something to do with a family who was dyeing denim, and that their colors that came out when they did it were of a really good quality, so it was kind of almost labeled or known as true blue. Yeah, true blue is supposed to derive from the blue cloth that was made at Coventry around the Middle Ages, and the town's dyers had a reputation for producing materials that didn't fade with washing.
Yes, I've heard
it
this.
remained fast or true. I was really interested when I was doing the research about Floriography, so that's kind of the coded language used in Victorian times using flowers. And what's interesting is a lot of the meanings that come with the blue flowers are about loyalty and commitment, which is interesting because that's kind of linking to true blue. But also
being true,
blue is quite significant for like romanticism as well. A blue violet is meant to mean I'll always be true, and forget-me-nots, which are one of my favorite flowers, are meant to symbolize true love and memories. I don't know, there's something quite sweet maybe about forget-me-nots themselves. I don't know about blue. Like, how do you feel about blue and romance and love in terms of helping symbolize love and romance?
I don't really feel like, to me, it symbolizes. Maybe if you think about it in terms of nostalgia, and it's often a key point of a love story where you have this nostalgic kind of sort of scenario, or someone is sad or something, then I see it working, the blue color blue,
but not in the same way that pink and red show passion.
No.
To
me, it's only like stagnation more. The color blue,
which is, I guess, which is interesting again, because we're talking about it reminding us of stillness and calm. In terms of flowers and stuff, it's symbolizing faithfulness and loyalty, which is a sense of like stagnation and remaining. I guess you also think of blue skies and stuff like that, and this kind of montagey, nostalgic thing. A blue rose means loyalty and affection.
Are there even real blue roses?
I guess not. Well, I didn't know they were dyeing roses back then. Anyway, hyacinths, blue ones, represent constancy. So again, remaining.
Yeah.
And just like for perspective, for hyacinths that are yellow, they represent jealousy.
Yeah, yellow I've heard representing jealousy.
And jealousy also has a lot of bad connotations, actually. I mean, because yellow's always seen as false gold in literature for symbolism, especially like, in The Great Gatsby, something that's not genuine.
That reminded me of the usage of blue in films, movies.
Yes.
Do you have any movies that comes into your mind when you think about color blue?
Moana.
Oh,
it's a lot of the sea, that's why.
That's a good one of my favorite movies, Moana.
I think it's difficult now, especially because I read a quote from The Great Gatsby, so I'm thinking of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
In the book, there's like a lot of blue imagery,
yeah,
which is meant to represent the sadness and loneliness in Gatsby's life.
Yeah.
There's another side of blue. Blue meaning sadness and misery. You
Does,
say you're feeling blue, and that apparently comes from the expression, the blue devils, which is an intense visual hallucination that can come from severe alcohol withdrawal.
To me, blue feels like it's linked with death, coming pale and blue-ish,
and then blue lips, yeah.
and blue lips. And it's like really, it's a sad thing. So.
Well, and then we've got, black and blue.
And it's really flesh. Kind of. What's black and blue?
Beaten black and blue. So when you're bruised.
Yeah. You can use blue in a love movie. You can use blue in sci-fi movie. You use blue. I mean, you can argue you can use almost each and every color in every single movie. It's up to you.
Also, people are more likely to trust people with brown eyes and less likely to trust people with blue eyes.
Seriously?
Yeah. They go like.
When I thought about movie when I was preparing for this episode, one of the first movies that came into my mind was WALL-E. I looked through it and was like, there's not that much blue in it, and there was this one scene. It's evidently blue with this blue tint and everything, and it's so
magical.
I prepared a quote of my own. A quote of my own.
Oh, a quote on blue?
Yes. It refers to the really famous picture taken with the Voyager that I mentioned. I think it was the one I mentioned before in the previous episode. Right the moment when it escaped the gravitational force of our sun and entered the vastness of space behind our solar system. Out of our solar system, it's not like behind our solar system. Seems like there's no directions in space. The quote is by Carl Sagan, a physicist, and it's sort of describing his idea on what this photo depicts. And to me, the photo is really moving and extremely important, I would say, for everyone to acknowledge. Really try to acknowledge it at least once in your life. And the name of the photo is Pale Blue Dot. It just simply looks like this, and this is planet Earth.
Yeah.
And it's quite long. Look again at that dot. That's here, that's home, that's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lives there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam.
Wow.
I really like this quote.
Very nicely read.
Thank you. And what's really interesting that in the quote itself I just read, it went through almost every topic we talked about. It's like as if the color blue, the earth itself, that's the blue dot, it's just embracing all of those ideas, the nostalgia, the love, the loss, the gain, and just everything. Blue is everything.
Blue is everything.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
No, I've just got that line stuck in my head now. Everything is blue.
Everything
blue is all around us.
Yes, thank you very much. And see you in the next episode.
Bye.
That was good. It's perfect.